Garland in the corner. He's got it.
Feeds Nance. Pow with the running in. Mitchell shakes to the basket and thunders it home.
Oh! Mobley throws it down.
And Allen blocked the shot at the rim.
Welcome to the Chase Down Podcast, part of the Cavs media family. I'm your host, Justin Rowan. The Chase Down is presented by Fubo, the official streaming partner of the Cavs. Watch over 350 channels of live sports and TV, including FanDuel Sports Network without cable. There's no cost and no commitment. Try for free at FuboTV.com/Cavs. Well, the Cleveland Cavaliers were shorthanded in their matchup against the Houston Rockets, and Houston showed why they are one of the best teams in the league. The Cavs managed to make it a game, gave them a run for their money in the fourth quarter, but ultimately Houston was able to pull away. Joining me today to discuss it is my co-host, Carter Rodriguez. Carter, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, fine and dandy, Justin. It felt like a just try to stay connected game. The things that the Cavs were missing tonight is all is all the stuff you need to make things easier against the Rockets, who are an awesome team, big, strong, tough. I said this summer that I thought they might be the Cavs' toughest matchup. I don't think that anymore because the Thunder are murdering everyone. On a nightly basis, but I still think Houston's a really, really good team. They present matchups. They nullify Cavs' strengths. A guy like Şengün is among the least bothered in the league by the things the Cavs' bigs are good at defensively. It was very clear with that one tonight. So I thought it was just going to be a try to stay connected. Be down 11 to 13 points. All the way through the game and try to make a late run and hit some threes. They outpaced my expectations there. They made a real run in the third, got connected, did a nice job keeping Houston off the glass as well as anyone can, because no one can keep them off the glass. By the way, a really the other thing about Houston, a peak mad-making recipe team for Cavs fans, because we knew they were going to grab 15, 16 offensive boards. That's exactly what they did. It's what they do to everyone, but with the Cavs, it's going to feel a little worse. But the Cavs got reconnected. They stayed connected pretty much through, and then just kind of ran out of gas late. As anytime Aaron Holiday takes you down with 16 fourth quarter points, what are you gonna do?
That's the part that kills me, man, because they did such a great job, right? Like the bench lineup with Jared Allen got them back into that game in the third quarter, right? Like that Lonzo Ball, Craig Porter Jr., I think Dean was out there as well. They got them back into the game and did what we like to see earlier in the season, where we had that run where Evan got them back into a game and then Donovan closed them out. It looked like the same recipe where Donovan, who did not have a good first three quarters on the offensive end, was able to come in with relatively fresh legs. He didn't have to use all of that energy getting the Cavs back into the game. But for Aaron Holiday to go off and hit those shots, that was devastating. And I thought Craig had another really nice, impactful game off the bench. Lost Holiday a couple times off ball. One of those things that you want to iron out.
That transition and one foul. I was like, "What are you doing, Craig? What are you doing?"
I think that was right after he left him in the corner the possession before. But I agree with you. When you're this shorthanded, the goal should be stay connected, and then try to steal it, which is basically what happened with the Cavs here. Houston is absolutely that caliber of team, right? Like they are a contending caliber team, even without Fred VanVleet. Kevin Durant's been having a fantastic season. Şengün, as you mentioned, has been really, really good. Amen Thompson, I'm a massive fan of his game, and I've always been a fan of Jabari Smith Jr. That's a team that might end up going to the finals, right? Like I know OKC looks fantastic right now. I think OKC is lined up to probably win multiple championships over the next couple of years. But they are
Clippers pick, Justin.
Pardon me?
They have the Clippers pick.
Yeah, that's.
Oh,
I might throw the games against the Clippers just to
to
prevent
help
that.
the odds a little bit.
Just to help the odds.
We all owe
controversial take.
that.
I think everyone in the league should just come together and throw at least one game against the Clippers.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I think it is fair and just. But despite them being that good, I do think Houston has enough to potentially pull off an upset. I think there's someone that could beat the Nuggets in a series potentially. I would still favor both OKC and Denver over them, but this is absolutely one of the best teams in the league. So for the Cavs, who were once again without Darius Garland, no Max Strus, of course, no Jalen Tyson with the concussion, and then no Sam Merrill with the shooting hand injury. This was a very, very tall task. And I thought it was very interesting that Kenny Atkinson went with Naquan Tomlin in the starting lineup. Really cool to see all the hard work that he's been putting in kind of pay off in that setting. And against a Houston team that doesn't play a point guard, at least with the starting lineup, I thought it actually made some sense. And that starting lineup basically played them to a draw on the night. I believe they lost 24-20 in their minutes together, which, given the circumstances,
Good enough.
I'm pretty comfortable with that.
I mean, it definitely helped that I thought they got Evan some good looks in those lineups. And we'll talk about Evan in this game. And Hunter had a great game. He had 25 points on 11 shots. Really was the only reason they were in the game at all. And by the way, was the only guy who hit his free throws. DeAndre Hunter goes 8 of 8. The rest of the team goes 12 of 24 from the line. And we do have to talk about that on the list of things that are frustrating because, they lost by 10. They missed 12 free throws. I hate it when people do that because, it would be pretty amazing if they went 32 of 32 from the line.
Mm-hmm.
But,
it didn't have to be that bad, right?
It was the reason. I would say it's the reason the game. They were not connected by the end of the game,
right? And even if you hit a couple of those, right? Sure, you could say if they hit all of them, it would erase that deficit. But even when you look at when the Cavs actually took the lead there, right? If you have one or two, maybe even three more points at the free throw line, that puts additional pressure on Houston, right? You erase that deficit just that much quicker. So there's a cascading effect there, right? None of this happens in a vacuum, particularly with basketball, which is such a momentum game. And when you have those trips to the line where you come up empty, that's brutal. Evan really struggled at the free throw line. He started off 4 or 6 from the free throw line and then missed his next 6, I believe. That is tough. And free throws are among the least interesting thing to talk about because there is
he would have missed his next 4, by the way. He only had 10 free throw attempts.
Oh, thank you. But there's no analysis to be had there, right? You got to do a better job of knocking those down. There's nothing that you can break down from a coaching standpoint or anything like that. We've seen Evan go, 12 of 12 at the free throw line in some games. We've seen him shoot free throws better for an entire season, and it's not, solely on him. Dean missed a number of free throws, so they've been a poor free throw shooting team this season, but it's just something that they got to do better because the margin for error has been thinner this season with the guys that they have missing. Leaving free points at the free throw line just makes that much tougher.
Yeah, I mean, you want to say, hey, you're missing some of your best free throw shooters and Darius and Max, guys you can really rely on when they get to the line to shoot at a really high clip. But they weren't really a good free throw shooting team last year. They were 16th or 17th in the league. They entered this game 25th. That'll certainly I won't certainly drop them, but it probably will a little bit. After a 20 of 32 night at the line. So I mean, there's nothing to analyze, but it is kind of worth watching. It matters. Yeah. And it certainly bit them in this game, and it's I think especially you feel it more just because they need every easy bucket they can get with all the personnel they've been missing. So it's to have, they had 3 or 4 0 of 2 trips to the free throw line tonight. And those are just so demoralizing when you're in the middle of a comeback attempt.
Yeah, and especially against a team like Houston that does get so many second chance opportunities, like that's frustrating. Right? I know defensive rebounds are always going to be a bit of a sore subject with the Cavs, given what happened 3 years ago against the Knicks. I thought
they're just never going to be a great defensive rebounding team. I just don't think that's who they are.
Yeah, and on the season, they're currently 16th in terms of defensive rebounding percentage. It's actually up from last year, where they were 22nd. But it wasn't a big talking point last year because one, we saw the exact same kind of scenario where they were very good on the defensive glass when both Evan and Jarrett were out there. They were not good when it's either Evan or Jarrett. They were a little bit better than they are this year in the single big minutes, but they still were below the 40th percentile in both of those lineups. But you had a larger margin for error. It wasn't something that came up in the playoffs, right? I've mentioned this a million times before, but the Cavs' offensive rebound margin against the Pacers was greater than the Knicks against the Cavs all those years ago. Same thing goes for the points in the paint. So they're never going to be a great defensive rebounding team, but it is frustrating when you kind of have those jumbo lineups where I almost feel like when they play larger this season, the focus on the defensive glass isn't the same as when they were playing small last year. When they played small last year, you saw kind of more that collective effort. Whereas to start the game, there were a couple possessions where two guys would box out the same person or someone's kind of caught watching. You got to find a body in all of those scenarios. So I think cleaning that up, cleaning up the free throws has to be a top priority because you can't control who's available to you when it comes to injuries and health and that sort of thing. But what you can do is make sure that you're not leaving a whole bunch of low-hanging fruit for the opponent to pick at.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And like I will say against Houston also, there were times where I think they did box out well or like did go find a body. But like Houston, the pressure goes up like another notch because they're so strong, they're so physical, and in their front court, and then their wings, especially Amin Thompson, who is just a beyond freak of nature, attacks the boards with such physicality. So it's like you have to box out and release and attack the ball, or they are going to get deflections. They are going to like hoover the ball up in ways that like no other team can do. I do think it's really important to note, like, while I've been grumpy about the offensive or the defensive effort on the glass this year, this game I was like, I kind of just went in and be like, that's what they do, because they do it to the Thunder, they do it to everyone. Like, that is how they run offense. Yeah. Is if they miss, they don't really care because they've got three bears down there at all times that are just clearing out space. And again, I do think, getting us back on to a bit of a positive thing, I do generally feel like the Cavs' process was better offensively today.
I strongly agree with that.
Even when the results didn't really align. Obviously, they had a very bad game shooting from three. Again, DeAndre Hunter notwithstanding. Without him, they went 7 of 31 from three. If you don't count his 5 of 8 from distance. But I felt like they did a nice job against. I think this team probably has the second best defensive personnel in the league. Right after OKC, they're amazing. Detroit would probably take some qualms with that as well, but I thought guys moved into open space well. Dean had a couple really nice cuts that he wasn't quite able to convert, or got fouled on and then wasn't able to convert at the line. So like again, you don't see the results there. I thought even though Donovan did not score because he was just getting blitzed to all hell by this Houston team that decided they'd rather not deal with a incendiary Donovan if they didn't have to, given the personnel. I do feel like he got the ball out, got Houston in rotation with those blitzes, and guys were able to make good choices to kind of keep the blender going. Like, and maybe it's not a blender, but it's like, like the workout things that have like the little blender ball in them. Like it's not a full electric one, but we're at least shaking something, and like you'd have Donovan get blitzed and find Tomlin on the wing who could kind of take a straight line drive, get picked up, do a little like midstream dribble handoff with Evan, who then also had a head of steam and then could get a clean look. Like, again, it doesn't have to be gorgeous. It just can't be nothing on the offensive end in terms of how they're getting to their looks. And like, I thought their process was better.
I totally agree. I thought they were actually pretty prepared for what Houston was going to be doing defensively, right? Like Donovan, when he was getting blitzed, he wasn't picking the ball up and getting trapped. He was getting that ball out right away. He was making the right play, and the ball did get back to him a decent number of times in the first half. He just missed his shots, right? Like I thought he was out there making the right play. Evan Mobley was a really effective outlet for them. They were ready for Houston to go into zone defense, and they consistently, like as soon as Houston went to the zone, it was okay. What Evan, you're at the top of the key. We're getting it to you. DeAndre, you're at the top of the key. We're getting it to you. Like I thought that they were really prepared for that.
Can I call out one little thing I liked that they did in those possessions? On one of those plays, Jarrett caught the ball. It wasn't quite the middle of the floor, but like kind of just a few feet above the left block on one of those zone possessions. And Dean just Gortat screened the hell out of whoever the low man, and Jarrett tried the floater and missed, but was able to get right back and get it and yam. And I thought that was a really nice little like, hey, it doesn't have to be pretty because we've got a big with touch and athleticism. Like, just clear up, get him the ball, clear a path. I thought that was I think it was Dean who set that screen. I just wanted to shout that out because you don't often see that kind of Gortat screen where you're just kind of like blocking the short roll guy in the 2-3, but I thought it worked really well.
We've seen some unconventional screens from the Cavs in the last two games, between that one and Thomas Bryant boxing out so Donnie could get the layup. But yeah, I honestly, I feel better about their offensive process in this game than I did against the Bucks, right? Sometimes you can learn lessons by the final result. I thought overall their approach to this game was healthier offensively than it was against the Bucks. I
think they had to work harder for it.
Yeah, and the effort level was there consistently throughout the night, right? Like I thought that they were out there problem solving, trying to find ways to crack Houston's defense. They were the cuts were done with a purpose, which is really important. Everything that they were doing was with effort, with purpose, right? And I'm going to feel much, much better with that than I will the Memphis game, where I thought for 3 quarters there wasn't that sense of urgency, and then they turned it on in the fourth. So I was really happy with that. I thought Naquan gave them really good minutes. It's kind of funny that he was out there for as long as he was and only came up with 2 rebounds. It felt like he had more, and felt
0
like
defensive rebounds.
Like it felt like he was everywhere when he was out there, and he pulled off what could be a dunk contest dunk where it went off the side of the backboard. That was one of his rebounds.
I was gonna ask, is that not doesn't it have to hit rim?
Was that a travel? About that too. I don't know if he came down with the ball. That's the thing. Because you can throw it off the backboard and it's not a travel if you don't come down with the ball.
I think he came down with the ball. I mean, we'll have to check the tape, but I was like, because I immediately looked over to the Rockets bench to see if they were protesting, and they weren't. So I don't know. Maybe I just don't know the rules.
I feel like you probably came down with the ball, and you might be right. But
listen, we're not here to pick nets.
Yeah, Houston gets away with enough stuff too. Like I'm not going to go in depth on it, but I'm just not a fan of what Şengün does offensively, because I think it's taking advantage of what the league allows defenders to do or doesn't allow defenders to do. And if you're going to be the tough guy that elbows everyone to go into the basket, you shouldn't also be the guy that flops. But he is a fantastic player, and I almost get more frustrated when someone as skilled and talented as him resorts to that sort of thing. It's just not a style I like. And, I tweeted this out, but if you're going to be the guy that elbows everyone in the face going to the basket, that Jarrett Allen dunk absolutely should have counted.
Couldn't agree more, my friend. That was an amazing Jarrett play.
That was awesome.
I do think this is like a great example of like where people's priors kind of just determine things. Like I'm seeing a lot of like anti-Jarrett stuff after this game. I'm like, I don't think he played any worse than anyone else on this team. Like,
No.
like I thought he was perfectly fine. Like, obviously not a great scoring game for him, but like, where are the opportunities? Like, he's just never going to be a self-generated guy, and I don't think they were getting a ton of those opportunities created for them.
He's the franchise leader in field goal percentage. He's allowed to have one game where it doesn't go down, but I thought he did a better job on the glass than Mobley. I thought he was really solid defensively. I thought he held his own really well.
Chopped his feet really well when he got switched on to Kevin Durant a couple times.
He did a better job defending out on the perimeter than I think we've seen a lot of the time this season. And I'm not surprised that he was out there in the fourth quarter, right? Like that was one of our big conversations.
He didn't close, but they were behind. I get that.
Yeah, but he got a good number of fourth quarter minutes too, right? And I think it makes sense. Like I expected him to be playing in the fourth in this game as long as the game was close enough because of the matchup. I just don't think like my assumption based on what I'm seeing is that he gets pulled when it's 5 out, right? Like that they're not fully comfortable with him defending on the perimeter. That's an assumption that's not based in any journalism or anything like that. But that's kind of how I feel. And Houston doesn't do that, right? Like, so you're able to play him in those spots, but I thought he did a really, really good job on the perimeter, and he would be very low on my list of gripes and grievances in this game.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he helped them win the game, but I do think he played just as well as just about anyone else out there, short of DeAndre Hunter, who was pretty electric.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was nice to see. As I said, it was nice to see Naquan, play well in those minutes. He played confident, took the shots that were available to him. Like I know I saw some comments on him firing up those corner threes, but you got to take those, man. Like that's a wide open look. That is 100% what you should be taking when you're out there when it swings to you. And like you said, DeAndre was terrific, and it was nice to see him knock down the shots. Still, if we're picking nits, there were a few lapses on defense. Turning his back to KD off ball should never be a thing.
I just think those are gonna. I think you just kind of. I mean, if Kenny shouldn't live with them, but mm-hmm. I think as fans, like that, it is
part of the equation.
I think it's just part of the game. I thought he was pretty good on KD on ball for what it's worth.
That's the thing with DeAndre. He's
off ball,
terrific
there
on
were
ball.
a few brain farts.
And that's why when we're talking about what this team should be when they're fully optimized, I like him starting because I think that there is a little bit more coverage for those kinds of off-ball lapses with him. Whereas in those single big lineups, I think that's when it's really, really important to have someone like Max Strus, who is ridiculously fundamentally sound on the defensive end.
I miss Max. I love Max.
I miss Max too. And as a leader of, the DG propaganda island of the Max Strus cult and all that good stuff, like I don't want, to have people won over to my side because of stretches like this, right? Like I would rather people disagree with me and both of those guys are out there for my favorite team. But I think it does go to show you, right? Like, the data with those two says they do a good job defensively on the perimeter. And the counter is usually people saying, well, sometimes guys are able to shoot over them. They don't have as much length as some other guys. Taking a contested shot over top of a defender that's connected is always going to be a tougher shot than when you get by someone and you're, getting a free run to the rim, or you're getting an open shot because you were able to back cut successfully, right? Like, and there's also the element of the entire defensive integrity holding together when you have those types of guys that stay in front of their man so consistently. So I have an appreciation for what both of those guys do on the defensive end. I think you obviously feel it on the offensive end, but I think people have understood their impact on the offensive end over the years. I think the drop off on the defensive side of the floor is people are being illuminated to it a little bit this season.
Yeah, I mean, I even think on the offensive end, people are seeing it. Nate Duncan, I didn't hear this directly, but someone in our Discord referenced on their podcast how they looked at the numbers from last year even, and when the Cavs played with Donovan on the floor, but neither Ty Jerome nor Darius Garland, the offensive profile looked a lot like this. Not a lot of drives, not a lot of paint pressure, like and
a lot of threes.
Yeah, and I think that we're really seeing what Darius does for the collective spirit of this team. I will continue to hit on the fact that, the floor. We talked about like whether the floor was higher or lower with these role players this summer. I think I might have won that argument by saying I think the floor is lower because the offense can just drop out if Donovan's not out there or not able to consistently put pressure, and Evan's not consistently able to self-create, which he hasn't been. Again, I still think the ceiling might be higher. It's just like, things might have to be a little more optimal to reach that ceiling.
Yeah, and I think last year too, right? Like they started the year without Max. He didn't come back until late December. But at that time of year, if the guards are out, you did have Karis LeVert out there who was able to put rim pressure, right? And I almost think with everyone that's currently out of the lineup right now, you'd almost have more value from that Karis archetype than what you're getting out of DeAndre Hunter. But because we just don't have someone that's getting into the teeth of the defense that can run pick and roll at a very high level. But when this team is fully healthy, you want to have a DeAndre Hunter type. That is what we've been missing, right? So,
and he's felt some of his most unfair with Darius back.
Right. And I don't, in the past, I know you've kind of compared the offense to like a fine watch, right? Where if a little grain of sand gets in there, it all comes apart. I don't think it's necessarily that this season, but when you are missing this many parts and you're missing such a heavy part of your guard rotation, I do think it's a little easy to get out of sync. And that's why tools like Zoom Workplace are so important to get you back into sync, Carter, because teams move fastest when everyone's in sync. Zoom Workplace keeps meetings, chat, docs, and more together so your work flows like a perfect play. Keep work moving and zoom ahead with Zoom Workplace.
Well done, brother. Should we talk about Evans night?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, me feeling better about the offensive process in this game probably is most heavily influenced by Evan Mobley's performance. I liked his offensive profile way more this game. I thought, and I think it's interesting too, because this was a night where Donovan wasn't able to get inside the paint very frequently at all, right? Like with the way that they were blitzing him, with the one-on-one defensive pressure that Amen Thompson's able to put on him, Donovan wasn't able to get in there and get the defense in rotation and get those passes to Mobley or Allen, right? But despite that, they found creative ways to manufacture Evan Mobley getting the ball on the move and attacking the basket. It's very, very effective finishing around the rim in this game. And I like the offensive profile from him a whole lot more. Again, you probably feel a lot better about this game if he knocks down his free throws. But I thought on the offensive end, what he was doing was better and looked better than the final box score for him.
Yeah, I think that is definitely fair. If he makes his free throws, if he goes 8 of 10 from the line, all of a sudden that's a 22-point game. If he hits one of his three, I do think process outpaced result in this one. I just like it when he catches deep and takes a second and figures out how to go like the right angle to go up strong. Like he had a few and ones or really nice deep catches where Houston was a little helpless. I think he had one play where he kind of ran through. It was either a Kogi or Amen Thompson. I don't remember which one, but he really he hit first and got right to the cup. Like those are the one plays where you go, oh, that's the guy, And again, just more catches on the move in this game, where you still are saying Evan playmake. Like I feel like the Cavs sometimes it's so binary. It's like either Evan, you are a play finisher who will catch an easy play while lurking in the dunker spot and go up for a dunk or a lob, or we are going to start the ball 26 feet out and you have to find a way to dribble your way all the way to the cup. And all I want is for them to set a pin down for him so he flashes up and catches the ball in the curve with a little bit of space and some options to make a decision. Run a handoff where he is running towards the ball, 18 feet out, and can try to turn the corner with his unbelievable length, and ideally with a little bit of a head start with the handoff man screening Evans guy, or forcing a switch so he can then bury someone deep. Like, I think my thing with him has been that I don't think he's actually playing a lot. I don't feel like the skill feels a lot worse, even though the percentages are a lot worse. I feel like the opportunities are a lot worse. And again, I don't know whose fault that is, but tonight it felt a little bit better.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about an empowered Evan Mobley and what we want to see from him, I don't think it's ever been creation from a dead stop, right? And I think there's been too much of that this season. I think that eats into, his energy, his ability to have as much of an impact on the defensive end, his impact to, his ability to impact the game with hustle stats and things like that, and even finishing, right? I feel like too much energy is being expended. I really like what I think. I shouldn't speak for both of us, but what I wanted to see out of Evan Mobley this season was getting the ball in a lot of the similar spots, but being able to do a little bit more with it, right? Like being able to more confidently attack guys off the dribble when they close out at him at the nail, right? Being able to make a play where he wasn't able to make one with the handle off a dribble handoff, right? Or fake the dribble handoff and then take the defender to the rim. I wanted to see nuance and growth kind of within the structure of what we've already seen, with the additional, change of not going away from it when it matters, right? Like, let's make sure that when the game is coming down to the wire, when we have crucial possessions, that he is involved in the offense, regardless of how the night's going, because that's important things to build up for the postseason. I haven't felt that way, but I also haven't necessarily felt that way for almost anybody. Like, it just feels like getting consistent looks within the flow of the offense hasn't been a thing for Mobley, Donovan, DeAndre, whomever, because there hasn't consistently been a flow of the offense this season, right? How they go about getting their buckets, how they go about scoring on a night-to-night basis varies. I see nights like tonight, and I think, okay, that's a positive step in the right direction, but you got to build upon that. You can't have as many backsliding games and quarters along the way.
There is one distinction I'd like to make to that point, which is Donovan right now is the only person who decides what his shot profile looks like. You know what I mean? And like I think Donovan has been pretty freaking exceptional to start this season.
He's been unreal. He's been the best player in the Eastern Conference for my money.
Oh, I hadn't even considered that question yet. Yeah, I think you might be right. Because Cade's shooting splits are not great, Bob.
It's Giannis and Maxey, in my opinion.
I might pick Giannis still because he's amazing. But yeah, I do think there is, all we can ask for is the process to look better. I think there is still some room to be a little disappointed because, we can sit here and say process looks better. Still 18 points in 36 minutes, when the team's missing like 5 of their scorer and volume eaters on the floor. Like, you do want to see more. I think it's fair to say, Justin, that we all hoped we'd see more 25, 26 point outings on occasion, like on nights where they're shorthanded, that he would eat that volume and be able to consistently create these good looks. So that is what it is on the offensive end. I do have a real gripe to hit, though. This man has got to hit the defensive glass. He is averaging a career worst defensive rebounds per 36 right now. He is at 6.5 going into this game, and that's going to go down because he only had 5 defensive rebounds tonight in 36 minutes. I don't know what's going on that end of the floor. Like, why he's having so many games where, and some of it I think is playing a little bit more 5 and getting dragged out a little bit, but some of it I don't know. It's been weird for me, man.
I'm with you. I don't even want to put it all on the defensive glass. Like that's one of the spots where I'd like to see it improve. But I feel like he's seen the ball bounce more times this season than he has like in the last 2 years combined, where whether it's a loose ball or a defensive rebound opportunity, he kind of has watched the ball hit the floor a couple times without, kind of like, give me that attitude, right? Like I felt like he used to have magnets on his hands where anytime there's a loose ball, he's out there picking it up, whether it's going on the sideline, whether it's the defensive glass. And there just seems to be times where he's kind of waiting for a teammate to collect it. And I don't care if you're elbowing Dean Wade out of the way. And that's controversial opinion here because we have 2 friendly fire injuries already this season. But I want to see that kind of mentality, right? Like I want to see him gobble up the ball, get those loose ball opportunities, get those hustle stats. And I don't know if some of it is, hey, he's doing so much more self-creation. If his mind is on other things, if you have a possession that isn't successful in the offensive end, maybe you're still kind of thinking about that and how you're going to attack the next one because that's the primary focus. But it just seems like there's a little bit more watching the basketball that I'm used to seeing with Evan Mobley. Whereas in the past, the ball's kind of careening out of bound and he has a chance to go for it. He gets that ball 9 out of 10 times. If there's a ball coming off the rim, he's going up and he's getting it. Not that he's ever been an exceptional rebounder, but he's been a very strong rebounder in the past, and I think he needs to get back to that.
Yeah, he averaged 8.2 per 36 last year. He's down to 6.5. Jared Allen, it's actually a lot worse. Jared averaged 9.1 defensive rebounds per 36 last year. He's down to 7.3. So they are worse on the glass this year. There's no disputing it. I'm not sure why that is that both bigs are so far down. It's something, again, these are the kind of questions I was like, gosh, if we were local, I would absolutely ask, like, what's changed schematically that has these guys. And maybe it is an effort thing. I don't know. Like, maybe the coach would just be like, yeah, they're doing worse at it, so the numbers are lower. But I would love to know if, like, there's something they're seeing schematic that's like these guys are not in position the way they were last year. Because, like, I know the personnel is different, and Max is a very good rebounder for his size, but Darius isn't. Ty Jerome really isn't. So, like, in Isaac Okoro, I would argue Lonzo is a historically much better rebounder than Okoro. Tyson's a much better rebounder than Okoro. So, I don't know what's
the
going on.
Argument at the start of the season, right? Like, it's, hey, we were better at this. When I know they are better on the defensive glass this year, but they've had these games. That's the funny thing about this season. Like, when we looked at the transition defense, hey, they're doing just as well, but they've had these games where it's been really poor, right? When we talk about the defensive glass, the season long average is better than it was last year, but they've had games where.
But I thought you said it was worse than last year. Am I crazy?
No, they are better on the defensive glass this year than they were last year.
Oh.
Yeah, they were 22nd last year. They're up to 16th this year.
Got it. Sorry.
But they've just had nights where
they fell to 17th already, apparently. I just checked NBA.com.
Still
they've
better.
updated.
Yeah, but there's just been nights where they haven't done what they've shown they can do, even if you're just talking about this season, right? Like that, I think their ability to impact the game in those ways has been inconsistent, and that's fair to say.
Yeah. So it's just been a weird year because, like, there's some stuff that I can, like, very clearly point to, and then there's some stuff I don't think I have good answers for right now. And, maybe it is just as simple as the effort's not as high in this regular season. I mean, my eyes tell me that the effort hasn't been as high, the focus hasn't been as good. Across the board. Again, they started 15-0 last year. They were objectively playing better at basketball. It wasn't just like more shots went in. Everything was clicking, and I don't think everything's clicking. But yeah, those are the ones where I'm like trying to. I'm still in diagnosis mode, I feel.
Yeah, and I think what's fair to say is just that they've been less connected this year, right?
Yeah.
Like even when it comes to Evan Mobley on the defensive end, I talked about how those one big lineups last year, the rim protection numbers were phenomenal. When he was playing without Jared Allen, they managed to basically hold steady. And that was, in my opinion, that was one of the key reasons why he won Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
You look at the tracking data this year, and I can say, okay, the lineup data says that the rim protection with Mobley at the 5 has been poor. But then if you look at the tracking data on Basketball Index, right now his rim protection is at the 97th percentile. Last year was the 95th. Rim disruption is at the 97th percentile. Last year was at the 95th. Like the help defense is at the same level. Basically, the only spot where there's been a drop off is in post defense. He's in the 76th percentile. Well, last year he was in the 96th. So what that tells me is that when Mobley is in position, he's having the same level of defensive impact overall, but he hasn't been in position as frequently. And I think a lot of that has to do with what we've talked about when it comes to the rebounding, that when you allow drives to the basket and the center has to come up and contest the shot, it takes them out of rebounding position. That happened on one of the first possessions of this game where Jared Allen had to come out and contest the shot, and Steven Adams goes up and gets the offensive rebound to open up the game. I just feel like the integrity of the defense has not been as steady. And that's why, despite the fact that the defense overall is performing about the same as it did last year, the breakdowns just feel so much louder and it doesn't feel as sustainable. Like I felt like last year that they could crank it up and get to a higher level than they even performed at in the regular season. This year, it feels like there are just stretches where it has not been as together as it's been in the past.
Yep, I think that's very fair. So I don't know. I still feel like this was a step in the positive direction. You know, they're 10-6. I do feel like, I think Kenny said that Darius is getting close to coming back, which, boy, would that be a shot in the arm for them. Jalen Tyson's missed 3 in a row now?
Yeah.
With that concussion, obviously he was a big part of their, a positive story early on in their winning streak after a bit of an up and down start. So yeah. I don't know.
I talked about this a little bit when it comes to Tyson, because people have been like, oh man, well, like, how bad is this? But if you relate it to football, when you get a concussion, you miss the next game on Sunday, right? Like, you're missing 7 days. And then week 2, which is 14 days later, is usually kind of touch and go. Sometimes you're out for that one too. Look at CJ Stroud. He's about to miss his 3rd week in a row, right? Basketball, the games come much quicker, right? So he had it last Monday. He's missed a week. That's pretty typical. You're going to play it safe in those scenarios. I actually found it encouraging that he was on the bench tonight, right? Like, sometimes when you're dealing with that, you don't want to be in that kind of loud environment. So I think that's a good sign. But you're right. Like, it's so much of this season is weird because we are grading on a curve. We understand that so many important pieces are out, and that's going to make things more complicated. And I think we're pointing out what's not working a little more frequently this year. One, because
there's more not
working. Yeah, there's a whole lot more in that category versus last year. And 2, we are holding them to the standard of championship contender, because I do believe that this roster is a championship contender.
Yeah, I think it's weird. We're like grading on 2 opposite curves. Like, on one hand, I'm grading on the curve of like, oh, well, they're missing some really key pieces, playing a bunch of guys that we weren't expecting to see, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, have to give them some grace on this side. But on the other side, it's like, hey, you're supposed to be a title contender, and you won 64 games last year. Like, show me more. So there's a third
curve of this team has used the regular season to prove how good they've been for several years, and it hasn't worked out.
And no one's impressed.
And no one's impressed. And we know that, there's a different approach to this regular season. They've talked about it consistently. So that's a third variable here. So it's not me being down on the team. It's me trying to figure out, okay, what can we pull from each of these games? What are things that we can identify so that if they do improve or if they don't improve, we can have those subsequent conversations down the road. And, you talked about the disappointment, hoping that with guys out, you'd see a few more high output performances from Evan Mobley. My biggest disappointment on the night is that you get so few of these games in a regular season where you truly get a measuring stick against a team as good as Houston. And I hate that we did not have the opportunity to get a proper one in this game.
Yeah.
It's really, really frustrating. You can even say, oh, you know, they hung around. They took a fourth quarter lead down all those guys. Houston's going to play differently if the Cavs have everybody. We know that teams always kind of play up or down to their competition in the NBA. That's just a part of the element. We didn't learn anything from this game that would be applicable to a potential final series. And that's just frustrating to me. That's disappointing because I do look forward to these games.
Yeah, I agree. It's a bummer, but at the end of the day, still feel really, really good about time. And like we might just it just might be one of those choppy years. I mean, and if you're someone who is like of the opinion that, oh well, that means like they're screwed. The 2016 Cavs were miserable to watch for much of that regular season. Like they had plenty of ups and downs. In all those years, they made the finals. And like, I'm not saying
Kyrie wasn't good until February that year. Like,
yeah, I mean,
people forget like that Spurs game is one of my like favorite regular season games. Part of why it felt so good was because Kyrie hadn't looked good coming back from the injury, right? Like he had the Portland game ahead of that one, but that Spurs game was just like, finally, here it is, right? And I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to predict that we're going to feel a good high at some point this year. I
don't know about a months long, like crazy extended high like that, but maybe I'm wrong.
17-18 was a pretty depressing regular season, and we won 15 games in a row at some point in it, right? Like, I think it's going to happen. I think this team is good enough to steamroll teams at some point. I'm predicting a high at some point this year. I'm certainly going to feel one. Big thanks to everyone tuning in live on YouTube. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Click that notification bell so you know when we're going live. If you're listening via podcast and you want to support us, leave us a rating, leave a review, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, and help cook those books. If you want to be part of Chase Down's exclusive Discord chat, send a screenshot of their view to chasedownpod@gmail.com. However you choose to support us, we really do appreciate it. Make sure you guys are staying safe out there. Until next time, go Cavs.